Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast with Nick from NPG Creations, AJ from Crafted at NJ, and myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking. Nick, let's hear from those sponsors.
Righto. So, Sawdust Nation Podcast has been sponsored by Totalboat Epoxy. It's the best epoxy on the market, from their Halcyon to high performance to their deep pour. You won't be disappointed. Give them a visit at www.totalboat.com. Now, I can speak to that. Totalboat has some really good stuff. I know Josh and AJ can both attest to that. But next up is Sticker Beat. They have amazing stickers. I bought 500 of them recently, and I'm already down to like 250. They've been going out like crazy. But these stickers last forever. They don't come unstuck. Unless, of course, you want them to, and then you just peel them off. But they don't leave any residual behind, which is what I like about it. Check out their customizable packing tape, too. I know I ordered some, and I'm waiting for it to arrive, hopefully before I move. Anyways, StickerBeat, www.stickerbeat.com. For 20% off, use the promo code SawdustNation, which all one word and all lowercase letters. All right, and it will save you a bundle. And next up, Jtechphotonics. Jtechphotonics, located... Pew, 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 pew. That's right. Friggin' laser beams, man. Jtechphotonics is located in Texas. Their owner, Jay, has outstanding customer service. They come out with lasers for almost any CNC platform that you may have. I personally use the Jtech 7.0. It's been a great asset in my my woodworking and makerism. So... give them a visit at www.jtechphotonics.com.
Makerism.
Makerism. It's a new word.
We just created a new word on our 34th episode.
Nice.
Imagine that.
Well, so I'm copywriting that word.
I don't blame
I
you.
already did, as you said it.
AJ, man, what do you got going on in your shop? I know you have quite a bit, like always.
And yeah, so you would know that I got quite a bit going on because yesterday I had to vent to you over some voice messages on Instagram because I was about ready just to burn everything down and have a nice big fire. I was going to go try melting all the snow out by me just by burning everything.
I was hoping that, you gave me a chance to break the glass, get the dollar out, and give that to you and save your tools. But
Nah, I knew it was going to take you a while, and I would have regretted it by the time you got here, so I just wanted to get it done and over with. And if that time it would have taken you, I probably would have turned around, so you would have drove up here for nothing at that point. So it wasn't worth it. Sorry. I would have given it to you.
I saw your Instagram, man. You've got a lot of like flags with no color on them, and the wood looks amazing just without any color on them. Just giving you a little props there.
Well, thanks, Nick. Thanks, buddy.
I like how they do the little wave thing. I think it'd be cool to put like on the background of a room or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I give it a lot of character with some warped wood. That's my signature.
Those are actually straight 2x4s that warped as they're gluing together.
He just went to the HD and picked up all that wood. It's brand new, but it's already waving.
You know what would be really cool is if you took one of your flags and you carved it out like you do, and maybe make it into a flag or don't, and just, paint it a different color, what have you, but put a glass top on it and make it a coffee table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like have a little bit of the like bronze risers coming from the flag so it lifts off. So when you look through the coffee table glass, you can see your flag underneath. I think that would be really cool. You have enough detail in your flags to really justify something like that.
I got one even better because I don't necessarily I love the idea, but I don't like the glass. And what if you built a frame around it and then poured some Totalboat epoxy on it? Clear?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat that. I mean, that would definitely
right?
withstand the test of time, you know what I'm saying?
One, you wouldn't have to deal with, you can do a wood border around it, maybe seal it up somehow so, it won't leak through or anything like that, and then fill it with epoxy. I like that idea. So after I get done with 4,000 flags that I have to do in about 10 days, I'll get cracking on that one. So
we should expect this December 2022?
22, you're... Oof.
If you silicone the frame for it, then you don't have to worry about it leaking through, and it just becomes part of the project. So
Yeah, I'm thinking that you could silicone around it, some brad nails just to hold it. And then once that silicone cures, if you got it up well enough, then you won't have to deal with it leaking through. It's definitely an idea because I want to do a coffee table for downstairs in our basement. I mean, no one will ever see it, so it'll be just for when I go down there every once in a blue moon. But I like it, and then it's a different aspect to make my life even harder when people really want those in 5 days, and then I have to crunch time and do it. But I really, really like that idea, and I think I'm going to run with it.
So what about? Are you going to make it?
I can't wait to see that.
Are you going to make it big, like bigger than your normal flags? So it's like a large coffee table. I think that'd be pretty cool if you like went all out.
And this is my woes when I was talking to Josh. I make 4 different size flags. I make a small one, which is 17 inches wide, a 2-footer, which is the next one, 3-footer, then a 4-footer. I've had issues. I've only made a few 4-footers, and I've had issues every single time that I made it. And I've always had a lot of cupping in it. So what I do is I alleviate the cupping in the back because what happens is I glue it all up into a block, then I carve it. What I'm thinking is, and I was actually talking to Pete over at Ptreesworkshop tonight and trying to come up with different ideas, maybe use, I don't have a domino, but I was thinking, would it add some structure to it that would alleviate the natural wood movement? And then I was thinking dowels, maybe put dowels through it. Then, we were talking about different things. And the only problem is I would love to make a larger one, but I'm afraid that it's just going to cup so bad that I'm not going to be able to take that cup out. Because usually what I'll do is I'll turn the flag upside down and then plane off the back with an electric hand plane and get it as flat as I can.
What if you put like a steel frame underneath it, or even like grooved the back so you could put like steel, like strips of steel, almost like a spline in the back across of the flag?
Here's what I would do on. I would take a tip out of river tables or stream tables if that river table is copyrighted. I don't want to I didn't mean any harm, no foul. But you would route in some C channel in the back. The problem is, and that was one of Pete's ideas to do it on mine, but the problem is I make all my flags from the small ones to a 4-footer is 1.5 inches thick. In theory, the 4-foot should be a little bit thicker only because then I can carve it a little bit deeper. But if I was to do C channels, my fear is that they would go too far into the wood. Now I wouldn't be able to get a deep enough carve because I don't want to, if I'm doing a flag, I don't want it to look mediocre. I want the waves to be pronounced enough that you notice it from any angle. And Josh has a question. You and the sir.
I did raise my hand this time. So why don't you try making it out of ash? I mean, it's going to be a little more stable, and it's going to be a better wood. You could actually make it the exact dimensions you want each stripe, and then you can go ahead and do dowels or any kind of joinery you want with that. But it's going to be more stable than pine will be. And
I got it.
You go ahead.
We talked about this on the last episode of doing a hardwood flag, and for a coffee table, why not do it out of maple and walnut or something? You could use ash.
Yeah.
I would like the color of it, like to be the red, white, and blue. So if I was to do it, I would have to go ash. The only problem is I got to find a spot where I can find thick enough and wide enough pieces of ash, because me with my OCD, if I glue up 2 pieces to make 1 stripe, I'm going to notice the line, especially on a red, white, and blue one. I'm actually running into that issue, as you know, from the 4-footer that I'm doing. I ran out of single stripes, so I actually had to make them out of 2 pieces. Luckily, I somehow placed them in the right spots that they'll be stained black, so I won't really see it as much as I would a normal white one. But it's an idea. I've talked about ash for a while now, and I really want to give it a shot to see how stable it is after carving.
So instead of making it 1.5 inches thick, why don't you go, if you're worried about the back blowing through the front when you're, grooving channels in the back, why don't you make it just a little thicker? Go like 2 inches.
The problem is when you're working with a standard 2x4, they're 1.5 inches by 3 and change. So what I have to do is For a 4-footer, I actually have to now rip down a piece that's almost 2 inches wide. So now I'm stuck with that 1.5 inches, if that makes sense. For a 3-footer, I could definitely do that because each stripe is 1.5 inches. So if I rip down 2x4s, kept them at the 2x4 height, I could just sandwich them all together, glue them up, and then I'd have 3.5 inch stock.
But you're carving into the end grain or the edge grain.
I am carving into, I'm thinking of almost face grain on that.
So flip them. I mean, you're going to make it so big anyway, you might as well just glue everything together and get a nice glue up to where you can't tell where the seam's at,
That'd be helpful if I was good enough for that, because I probably would forget which way the grain was going. There's a lot involved that I would have to really iron out before I did anything larger. But for right now, I think the idea of the coffee table, I could do a 3-footer and actually make it work. It would be a smaller coffee table, but I think it would work out well.
I honestly think if you went hardwood with the larger flags, It would do you better and it would give you a lot less issues. And that way you wouldn't be spending so much time on worrying about the cupping and other typical pine issues. I mean, obviously hardwood, you're going to have similar issues depending on, the moisture content of the wood, but you get some good wood and you're going to have a lot less issues, more stable. And then I don't think you would be shying away from the bigger flags that way. Yeah. I think it might be more expensive, but anyone that wants a large flag, they have to be expecting a larger price tag with that. So yeah, it might be worth a try, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
I concur, Doctor.
I'll definitely try to pick up some ash that's thick enough that I can utilize for that, and I'll keep you updated on that coffee table idea as well. I'll have to write it down.
Well, it shouldn't be that hard to find some thick ash out there.
I like it thick.
All right, look. That was like 2 episodes ago. Everybody gets the joke. You with your $40 ash that Nick picked up. What did you pick that up on? Was the place on a corner or was it on just like a main drag?
It was actually, I went to Newark downtown.
Anyhow,
hey, you started.
So what's going on in your shop, man?
So anyway, back to the podcast. I got flags. We all know that. I got the noodle board that's still looming in the background. The bench that's still looming in the background. I keep getting more and more orders each time I turn around. I got a couple more flags. Actually, I got one. It's a 2-footer that has to be done in legitimately 9 days from today. So today's Tuesday we're recording, and I have 9 days to carve, sand, stain, clear, and get it to them. Not crunch time at all. So we're good. I'm trying to think. There was a few other things. One thing I did want to mention is by the time you guys are hearing this, you're only going to have a few more days to enter my giveaway that I'm putting on my Instagram. I almost said my Instagram channel, my Instagram page, and it's to win a small flag that is not stained. It's just built, and I'll be carving it, and you get to choose how you want it stained. Traditional red, white, and blue, Betsy Ross. You could have it thin blue line, thin red line, thin green line, thin line flags all over, sports teams, whatever you want. Go enter it. I will repost it at some point, but it ends on the 20th at midnight. So go enter, and all you got to do to enter it is follow me and like the page or like the post. That's it. Easiest giveaway you can ever enter. So go check it out.
What's the occasion?
Because I hit 2K.
Oh, you hit 2K?
Woo!
Look
Yeah.
Finally. I was sitting at like the 1995 mark for like a couple months, it felt like. So
yeah, it goes in stages. It goes like you'll get it like 10 and then it'll slow down. Then you get like 100, slow down.
What are you at right now? 2000 what?
I don't even know. I didn't even look lately. I think 2050 some odd.
All right. I need 50 some odd people to go unfollow AJ. No,
immediately.
2057. So you'd need 58 people to unfollow me, Nick. And that's a true friend right there. That's a true friend and a podcast partner. But anyway, for the what?
All done. You already lost 2.
Thanks. But for the shop, it's just I got a ton of stuff. CNC work, You name it, I got it. Like always. And I know there was a few other things. We mentioned this in the little before we got on. I know there's other stuff that happened that I wanted to bring to the show, but honestly, I can't even remember. So, Josh, I'm going to ask you, what's going on in your shop?
And I'm going to throw it right back at you asking, in that coffee table build, what kind of metal are you going to integrate into that?
Now you put me on the spot. I don't know if... You know what would look pretty nice is if you did that wood frame and then you put metal, almost like the faux like nails, like the hammered nails. So it's just the head.
Oh, yeah. Like railroad spikes?
Yeah. So they have ones that have like a little thumbtack almost, they look like. So you could just put it on the edges to make it look like it's rustic, old, worn and tattered. I think I would do something like that, but that's not the metal that you're talking about. I also think I might do, I don't want to do a metal base. I don't know what kind of base I would do.
Why would you not do metal?
I don't know. Because I don't want hairpins. I don't want the traditional. I don't want singer style legs. I don't know what I would do. What would be nice is like a really rustic, like wrought iron kind of look, but all the ones that I've seen just don't look like they would fit a table like that. I haven't even seen anything that I like for even a live edge table, because that was my original plan.
Have you ever checked out 2M Metal Furniture on Instagram?
No, I have not.
They have some pretty unique bases, and might be something on there you might like. It's all metal, but the stuff they do is just beautiful.
2M Metal Furniture?
2M_metal.furniture on Instagram.
It looks like they
it might be something
out of not the U.S.
Oh, yeah. They're not. But you might be able to work out something with them. And they do some great stuff. I've talked to them a couple times.
Okay.
It might be worth looking into. Yeah, they're not U.S. based.
Yep.
I don't know if they ship internationally or not, but there's a couple options out there. You have, I think, Bearhollowsupply. And then, the 2M, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple others on Instagram you might want to check out. But, yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you. Hairpin's not my favorite, but I actually, in the table in the back with the Glowforge, I threw hairpin on them, on that table. And it's only on there for, like, now. Eventually, I'll revisit that and I'll build something up with it. But you know what? It turned out good, better than I expected. So it's just a thought, man. Might be something you could throw on there and then revisit it in the future when you find the metal you want for the base.
You could definitely. And I want to add one last thing and then we'll get off of this. But you remember the rose that I made? I did the twisted stem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I can do metal like that, I think that would look, I could weld. I got a welder at my pop's house, so I can snatch that up. I could weld up my own metal base and do something like that. Like I could incorporate that twist somewhere. So if I got some decent square stock.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would have to just get some, it doesn't have to be thick, but, I got to kind of draw something up. I kind of actually have something in my head that might actually work out, look pretty good, and function. So thank you for throwing me that question. And I wonder where you got that idea from. Was it some handsome gentleman on the email?
Actually, we got a spam message from someone, and it had that question in there. I think it was from you, but I don't remember. It's not important.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've resorted to, is to emailing ourselves questions, so we have content for you.
But
anyway,
to answer, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what's in your shop? Because now you threw it at me, I'm throwing it at you. Nick feels alone.
Poor Nick's just he's sitting there sleeping, taking a nap. So I've been doing a lot of work, so I haven't really been in the shop very often. Long schedule, but long story short, I still have the kitchen helper. I'm having not issues with that, but I finally got the what do you call them? The little adjusters for the bottom. Man, lack of words today. Anyone?
Height adjustments, levelers, feet.
Leveling feet. So that's the word, leveling feet.
What do I
I
win?
got some leveling feet in. Nothing, because you were too slow.
Damn.
next time. Anyway, so I got some leveling feet in, and that definitely helped with the stability issue. And it's kind of funny because I move it in the kitchen, and I have to adjust the feet every time I move it. Just our floors are really uneven. I'm glad I went that road, and that way they can stabilize it if they're working in one spot and adjust it accordingly. It's very hard to build straight, level furniture when nothing is straight and level. So, going off of that, I have the Cherry Challenge coin display. It's all glued up. I just have to put the sides on and kind of just polish it up and get a finish on there, and it will be ready for delivery. I'm hoping that my next day off I can knock that out. I have a mallet that I just stabilized with Starbond adhesives. I love that stuff, man. I love the medium black. I love on walnut. Since I use air dried walnut, I have that coloration, but there's a lot of checking sometimes and some, naturally occurring, cracks because, well, it's air dried. So that helps seal those right up and stabilize them enough so where I can use them. Integrates really well with the mallet and the look that I'm going for anyway. So I'm hoping to finish that up this weekend, or I should say my next day off as well. And after that, I'm going to take a swing over to get some plywood and get that wine cabinet taken care of.
Nice.
I haven't really wanting to sit on it as long as I have. It's just logistics issue of getting everything I need to the house. Living on base and then everything else, it gets kind of difficult. But go ahead.
Are you also holding off on doing a larger project like that because subconsciously you're intimidated by it?
Not that intimidated by it. I got past that when I started doing the entryways. Mm-hmm. When I did the entryways, it was exactly that reason. I was really intimidated by it. I didn't know how I was going to handle in the shop. This, I'm really looking forward to do. Like, I have this, I started my journey thinking I was going to do furniture. You know what I'm saying? And I have done furniture, but not as much as I planned on. And I'm really looking forward to making this and getting it out there because that's, that was my goal in the beginning. So, yeah, I need to get to the house, and we're down a vehicle right now. So it's just one of those things where logistics matters. But, anyway, that's about it. I have some other, people questioning me about orders and whatnot. I might have another carved flag and a couple other stuff, but, nothing too crazy going on at the moment. So that pretty much wraps it up in my shop. Nick, what do you have going in your shop?
I'm so glad you asked. I don't know if you can see my shop right now because the light's so dark, but it looks like a literal bomb just dropped in here, and there is stuff everywhere. In between packing smaller tools and emptying out my tool chest and actually finishing the last of my orders. By the way, before 30 minutes ago, I had one order left that all I had to do was paint it and finish it. But as of 30 minutes ago, I accepted another order. So,
you said you wouldn't do that, right?
Well, I wouldn't do it, but the guy only wanted something that was is easy peasy job. All I have to do is put the wood on the CNC machine and let it run. It's really not anything extensive, but like some of the things I do require a lot of the tools that I've already packed up. So It's obviously not that. So all I need is my CNC for that. But things are moving right along. Waiting through all these boxes to get to things I need to get to has been a pain. And I was just thinking to myself earlier, I'm like, man, I wish my shop was set up, but I can't, obviously. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm living the good life over here. I just finished my own plaque, my going away plaque. So the cool thing is my unit provides a shadow box for people who are going away. It's just usually a small token. They call it the knife in the box. They put a bayonet inside of a box with a piece of glass over it, and usually you put things on there things inside the box that represent your time in the unit. I told the people who were in charge of that, I'm like, don't worry about making me one. I got this, because I wanted to go. I wanted to go all out. And I did. I went all out. I think I talked about it earlier. I started it a couple months ago, and now it's complete. I've got a lot of different hardwoods in there, and I use different finishing techniques on the different wood.
Nice.
By the way, what's up?
You're gonna have to post this on the podcast page, man. Anyone listening, if you follow us on the podcast page, they need to see this. It's
gorgeous.
Piece.
I'll post it up there. I have to bring it into work so they can give it to me. So anyway, I want to wait till they give it to me. Actually, I'll
got a little military customs.
I'll throw it up there.
There you go. Thank you.
But so check it out. So recently, I discovered that like walnut with the Watco dark walnut Danish oil. It's. I mean, I knew it was beautiful when you throw it on there, but when you here's my process. When you take a piece of walnut, you carve something into it, and then you paint the recessed area, like whatever lettering, gold. I have some really beautiful gold acrylic paint. Once it dries, you sand the excess off, and then you hit it with the Danish oil, and it is absolutely stunning. And that's what I did. It was like purely an accident on how I was like, well, why haven't I never done this before? So I tried it, and it was a huge payoff. So
cool.
Anyway, that's all I got going on in my shop, guys. I'm just a man with a dream over here, waiting to move. So, but we got some questions, don't we? Unless you got some questions for me.
Well, I mean, you look like you're in a bomb shelter.
I am. I took the light down.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. It's sad seeing your shop go, man, but I can't wait to see it arise in the new location. You might have ice when you get there.
Like a phoenix from the ashes. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I don't know how to follow that up.
I got nothing.
So we're going to go to a question. So Wooden Whiskers Trading Company sent in a question, and here it is.
Hey guys, Tyler here, Wooden Whiskers Trading Company. Sorry for the late question. I hope it gets to you in time. Just a short one for you. What's your most underrated tool in your shop? Appreciate it, guys. Catch you later.
So who wants to take this one first?
And go.
Josh is thinking about himself right now.
Just because I point to myself doesn't mean you can out me.
Of course I have to. Nobody can see it, so I have to point out what's going on. Underrated tool. I would honestly say in my shop, I would think I got a battle going. I think I'm going to go with my belt sander. And the reason being is because I think about it when it's too late. And like, it's a good material remover. You know, you put a low grit sandpaper on there. I ran into an issue. I needed to remove quite a bit of material. And, you know, of course it's too big. It can't fit through the planer or anything like that. And it was just like a high spot. So while the Merca works really well, the belt sander just tore through it. I mean, it was just going through pine, so it wasn't anything special. And actually, I dug a little too deep on one section because I kept the belt sander there and made a little groove and didn't realize it. So, I mean, it will remove material. Is it as good as like a hand plane or, you know, electric hand plane? No, but it's going to take it off in a different fashion where you can ease into it a little bit, you know, and it comes in handy whenever I think about it. You know, I think about what can I do? I'm in a bind, and I break that out, and it pretty much helps out. And I think that's going to be mine. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the other one. Nick, what about you? Underrated tool?
No, hey, let's hear the other one. I mean,
can you let Nick talk? Jeez, Nick's sitting over there about to weep.
Nick's here?
I kind of want to hear the other one too.
All right.
Yeah, come on, man.
It's I'd say my drill press, and that's soon going to be sold because no one bought it from the other episode. So if anybody wants a nice Dayton drill press, it's a floor standing model. It's great. It has multi-speed. It's got a long neck. It's got it all. It could drill through anything. Anyway, every time I do use it, you realize why it's necessity in a shop, because it does have its functionality. It does what it needs to. And you get the precision each time because the 90 degree, the head is at 90 degrees to the table, so you don't have to worry about if you're off a little bit. And I have to say, it's in a weird spot for me in my shop, so I don't think about using it. But when I do use it, it does come in handy. So belt sander and drill press for me. Now I'm going to throw it to Nick.
Good stuff. I've had this. I had to think real hard about this because each tool in my shop has its own. Each tool has its own purpose, and I cherish each purpose it fulfills. So I guess you could say, but underrated. I'd have to say my vise. It's a Wilton 4-inch jaw vise, and I've used that sucker. I bought it at a flea market for like $25, and I don't know how much they go. I know they're more expensive new, but the thing looks brand new. And it when I need a second pair of hands and nobody else is around, or if I'm gonna take a torch to something or that's small, then it's always been there for me. Just to hold my wood. I mean, it's what
you just want to squeeze it too hard, or you're gonna leave it dead.
No,
man?
So what I do is, it's got the metal jaws on it, but I'll put sacrificial like wood in between, on the outsides of the item that I'm actually holding. This way, I don't leave any marks. Now, obviously, I want to get a better vise when I get to my new shop, which is like a larger vise or a leg vise or whatnot. But for my small shop, that thing's been money when I needed it most. How about you, Josh?
Well, see, I had a tough time answering this question because I feel like there are a lot of tools in the wood shop that are underrated that you use more than you even give credit to. But I'm going to have to go with the lasers. I've seen a lot of people, they'll ask, what should I get, a laser or a CNC? Or, should I upgrade my CNC or get a laser? And I've said this a couple of times, but a laser, there's a place in the shop for a laser. A CNC is amazing, does amazing things. You can do a lot with it, but there's something about a laser engraved piece that is just, you can't always achieve with the CNC. Mm-hmm. And it's cheaper depending on which road you go down for someone to get versus a CNC and some other tools out there. And it can really up your game. I mean, up my game in the woodworking business a little bit. It paid for itself within the first couple months of me getting it. Granted, it took me a little while to kind of get down to perfecting it because, I went and used a program that, just is not user-friendly. But once I found a better user-friendly program, it definitely helped. And it's one of my go-to things. Sometimes it's a trade-off. Should I do a carve on the CNC or a laser engrave? Mm-hmm. And, they both have their place. And then just...
Well, I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject for a minute that I noticed a lot of times when you can't get the fine detail with a carve that you can with a laser. Mm-hmm. And if you're having that issue, you go to www.jtechphotonics.com and they will have a laser to fulfill all of your laser needs. Sorry, that was a shameless plug. I had to give another shout out.
Very well put, though. Very well put.
I keep toying around the idea of, a laser and whatnot. I would like to see how it would work out because I just did an engraving for a Marines insignia on one of my wavy flags. I have a flat spot on it for the CNC to work. And I'm wondering how it would look because you would get the engraving plus you would get the burned look, in the piece. Mm-hmm. So I kind of do that anyway because I engrave it then burn it. And you get that look, but I'm wondering if you could almost, in halfway, skip a step, and then I wouldn't have to burn it, and it would be more uniform. The only thing is, I would need something, where. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Go ahead.
No, I was just ask how long. Like I know they're different sizes, but how long does that engraving usually take?
If I don't have to do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times to get it a little deeper because. Sometimes the wood's not perfectly flat. That carve probably took maybe in total, if I had to do it once, 30, 35 minutes.
See, a laser would take a lot longer, depending. I mean, high power lasers take less time,
Yep.
but a laser would take much more time, but you'd get more detail. Nick hit it spot on. Is like, I just did a Army logo, and I use the laser because I can get a lot of detail, have that burnt look, so I don't have to fill it in with epoxy or anything crazy. And it achieves exactly what I was looking for, like the mallets and stuff like that.
Yep.
For something that is very large, yeah, you could do a laser, but you're going to put more hours on that project than you're currently doing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Something large with that logo, you're actually able to achieve the detail you're looking for. But I mean, you could do that and it would give you that burnt look.
Okay.
It's just, now we're talking more time for you.
So I saw, and this is completely like out of left field here, but this week I saw on one of the Facebook forums for CNCs, a guy had his laser working, basically letting a carve run, but it wasn't a carve, it was lasering a project. And the computer, was it the computer or the internet? Whatever, something connection died, and the laser just kept going. And it was in the same spot, and it melted the entire, it burnt the project, and it melted the entire housing for the laser, destroyed the laser. So just be careful if you lose connectivity of some sort, or if your computer dies or whatever, that laser is still firing.
It depends what mode you're using. You know this. There's two modes. There's it's a $32 and a $30, I think it is. Or anyway, it's basically a mode. And when the pulse goes, it's either on all the time and it shuts off, or it's off and then turns on. Most lasers, when you're doing like a image, will be doing a that second one where the pulse will be off and then turn on. So in that scenario, you wouldn't have it, to worry about it. But when you're doing some higher engravings, like lettering and stuff like that, it will go to the other setting, and that's where you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Laser talk, fun stuff. But yeah, man, and then my second would just be a scraper. A good sharpened scraper in the shop is amazing. You use it for glue cleanup. You can use it for a little bit of trimming here and there. It's worth having.
Yeah. Well,
so
Nick was talking about the vise. I have a vise that I restored a little bit. It was on one of our old shop service trucks, and we were getting rid of the truck, so I took it, and it's an older Wilton, really, really nice. And I cleaned it up a little bit, and I use it for a majority of different things, but I use it mainly to hold my branding iron while I'm heating it up.
Yes.
And then I put it back when, I put the branding iron in there so it'll cool off, so it's not on something, because my luck, I'd put it down on something and then it would catch fire and I wouldn't notice.
Burn a hole through your work surface.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny you brought up the vise, because there's, I've been on the hunt for a vise like Lucas over at Man-Made has restored. And I don't know why, but I was on this huge kick for a while. Even though I got 9,000 projects, I wanted to find it's a Rock Island vise, and this thing's massive. Because you were talking about maybe getting a bigger vise or whatnot, later on. This thing is huge, and he restored it from the ground up. And if you want to see a nice large vise, go check out his page and see the restoration process that he did on it. Thing's gorgeous.
Have you ever heard of the jaw horse from
No,
Rockwell?
I have not. Oh, yeah.
That thing, I mean, it's like a vise, but it's also like a sawhorse.
Yep.
So they call it the jaw horse. But like for one of your large flags, if you need to hold it upright in a weird position, that would be like perfect for something like that.
When Josh was at the woodworking show that we went to, and they did, they had who was the company? Arbitech, the carving station where Jackman Woodworks was at, and I believe...
Yeah, it was Arbitech.
I forget what the other gentleman was, Timber something. But he was over there.
I'll look it up.
They were using those those exact sawhorses you were talking about, they had like, their piece in there that they were carving, and it wasn't going anywhere. They're hitting it with this grinding wheel, and literally it just stayed put. I was surprised by how strong it was. So definitely something to look at. And I don't know if I'd get so much use out of it. It's good for certain things, and it's good when you need it. But like, I don't think I've come across a time when, you try figuring out that clamp technique where you clamp one clamp and then do another one and then another one, and then you kind of wind up with exactly that sawhorse you're talking about.
Well, a wise man, my Uncle Bill, once told me, it's better to not need it and have it than to need it and not have it.
Does Uncle Bill have an Instagram? Because I want to get him down in the show notes.
No, Uncle Bill doesn't do Instagram. However, Uncle Bill, I mean, the man has more tools than the Home Depot. It's amazing.
So the other gentleman that was at the woodworking show was TC_Timber Art.
Ah, yes.
So I met him for the first time there. I started following him once I was talked to him a little bit. But yeah, man.
So, well,
I agree. I actually don't have a vise in the shop. The only thing I use is my micro jig clamps.
Really now?
Yep.
Isn't like a...
That's why, yes, it is. But when in the beginning of my workbench, I was going to put, some vices in there, and that was the plan. But the wood shop kind of morphed into something a little different. And then when I found, the micro jig dovetail system, it kind of helped me with a lot of the issues I was having when I needed to clamp something down. That's why one of the reasons I didn't want to get rid of that one bench that I made, because it was basically a large, vice for me.
Oh, yeah.
In the future, I'll be doing an Alfie table here sometime, so I'll be including a vice in there somewhere.
I have a lot of vices, by the way, but only one I can actually use in the shop.
Only one you can count on for your wood.
Oh, man. All right, I think we got another question that got sent in by Sam, and he emailed a question, and his question was, can you talk a little bit about expansion and contraction of wood, and do we have any tips on gluing up and how that relates to wood movement? So we'll discuss this one first, and then we'll go into the second one. Nick, what do you got on wood expansion and contraction?
So I know a lot of it is based off of the cut of wood you have. So basically, pay attention to the grain of the wood that you buy. If you buy a heartwood piece or a piece of wood with the pith in it, it's going to move a lot more in unpredictable ways based off of the moisture and humidity of the area and the tension that wood is releasing over time. Now, typically what I do, unless I'm in a real pinch, is I'll forecast what kind of wood I'm going to need, and I'll go buy it from the lumberyard, and I'll let it acclimate to my shop for a couple weeks. 2 weeks usually does the trick. Getting it stable enough to where you can work with it without it moving again, unless there's a drastic change in the humidity level. I've had problems with twisting on planks before, but that's usually after I bring it home and set it on the rack. It'll just twist on the rack. But I'll usually plane it out of there. It's not too terribly humid where I'm at, especially now. It's really dry, but I do have a lot of issues though with specific species of wood. I haven't had a lot of luck with maple, just like rock maple sitting on my shelves, because it likes to cup on me a lot. But as far as cherry goes, I think that was probably like 3/4 4S4 cherry's been really good to me in this particular location. Another thing you can do is also check your moisture content. If you're buying wood from a location that does like live edge or they cut it on site, you can tell if that wood is stable enough to where either A, you can just leave it for a couple weeks and start working with it, or B, you're going to have to leave it for a long time or get it kiln dried. Now, as far as glue ups go, what's up?
You were talking about maple. It's funny because I have a piece of that spalted maple that it was flat when I got it. It's all rough sawn. The guy has it kiln dried, but it sat on the rack, and the ends, it's not cupping, but the end is pulling up. If that makes any sense.
That'll happen. I mean, that's just natural movement over time.
And I'm looking at it going like, if I really wanted to use this whole piece, I'd have to plane the whole thing down, but I'd probably wind up with like, a splinter of wood. But what I could see cupping, twisting. Would you consider? I'm guessing that would be bowing because it looks like a bow at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you lay it down, it's gonna be like a bridge. So
yeah. I think my best bet would be to cut it off and then kind of use that piece for something else.
That's
section it that way you can get rid of the bow.
Exactly. So another thing I like to do as well is if I have to plane wood, join it, plane it, get the flat faces I need. I'll let that wood sit for a while afterwards. Usually just a couple days, just to let it come to its final resting place. That's just.
I noticed.
What's that?
Go ahead. I was going to say I noticed that the Skype is great with this, but I noticed that with my flags as well. I have to do, and we talked about this a few episodes back, that my flag process has taken longer now because now I'm trying to alleviate all my cupping, bowing issues with. I'll cut the wood. I'll let it acclimate for as long as I can. Cut it, let it acclimate again. You let it rest each time in between, and that's actually how I wound up with less stripes in my 4-footer, because as they sat for a couple days, you saw now they took on a twist or a bow or something like that. So wood will move on you, even when you don't even expect it. You think it's a dead flat piece. Next thing you know, you come back and it's moving.
Yeah, I've had that.
Absolutely.
I've had that problem. I hate to be like a hog of the just diarrhea of the mouth here, but I've had this problem before where I got a piece of wood dead flat and I thought I was good, and I made a mistake of leaving it on my CNC machine overnight because I was going to carve it the next day, and the next day it was cupped, so I had to resurface it to get it flat again. So it's usually, it's a very, very tricky game to play, especially with the moisture content. And glue ups, I only have one word of advice for glue ups. If you're gluing up planks from edge to edge, just go ahead and alternate your clamps from one side to the other. This way you don't get the potato chip effect after it's dry. What about you, Josh?
You just blew my mind. Maybe that's why I get a lot of cupping too.
Yeah,
I don't do that.
Yeah, so I use the what are they called? The parallel clamps. And I will I will clamp say 4 on one side of a 4-foot piece. I'll clamp the ends and then go like a 1.5 in on each side, or a foot in on each side, and then I'll take 4 other clamps and come over the top, and that should give you even pressure. This way, the wood doesn't start to peel up after you remove the clamps. Say you clamp it on one side and remove the clamps, you might get that immediate reaction or over time reaction where it starts to potato chip on you. When I say that, it's like kind of just warping a little bit.
So you're necessarily saying clamps on the bottom and clamps on the top, not that the handle, like where you tighten, is opposite of each other.
No, and that really doesn't matter too much. If you're using the parallel clamps, it's the same thing. But you're going from underside and then over the top.
Yep.
And then let it sit, and it works for me. How about you, Josh? Or AJ, how about you?
Just going to jump in real quick, but I heard that to alleviate the expansion and contraction, I know it is how you handle your wood as well. And you were talking about
temperatures. Temperatures matter with
temperatures,
that too.
friction. If it's the wood,
out,
it's going to move any which way you want. But you brought up something, Nick. You had a piece of wood move on you on your CNC. Well, just so you know, I have magical wood, and it goes from being straight as an arrow.
Show title.
It goes from straight as an arrow to hooking to the left. I don't even know. And then
I think you
stand
need to see
it
a
up.
doctor about that.
But I have that false floor that I carved into, and it was dead flat when I carved it. I let it sit on the CNC bed, and that's a metal bed. And I come back the next day, and the ends it's potato chipping. And I sent Josh a video going like, I don't get it. Like, it was flat yesterday. Why is it moved now? I took it off the CNC, stood it on its end, let it sit that night, and it went flat again.
This is not the only piece he's done this with, and I really don't understand how it's possible.
So there's another thing you can do. If you're going to leave it on the CNC bed over the night, if you clamp down like the ends and the corners, like have enough clamps to keep it flat, and then you carve it on that flat piece, you'll be able to get that carve done, but you might still have that that bow after the fact. Depending on how bad your bow is going to be is up to you whether or not it's acceptable or not. Because I know like very, very slight cupping is not too bad. Then I'll still send a flag out just because it's flat enough where it'll sit flat against the wall. Nobody will ever know the difference. But if you've got tight tolerances you need to maintain, then I definitely wouldn't do that. And I think the thing that is the problem is when you're laying your wood flat on the bed for the CNC, there's no airflow underneath. So one side, although it's not for a very long time, but one side is getting a lot more aeration than the other, and that's what's causing that wood to move on you.
I think for AJ's issue is because he has so much airflow, and when he carves into it, it's actually releasing some of the tension, and then you have all the airflow on it on the top and the bottom for his. So when he leaves it overnight, he'll get some more cupping than Nick and I will typically see because of the lack of airflow on one side.
Because I got an aluminum T-bed, so it's got slots from front to back. So there's air definitely. I was also thinking it might have had something to do with the metal bed, being a different temperature, maybe, affecting it. But all I have to say is that piece of wood is magic, because it will go dead straight. If I stand it up on end, I don't have to put any weight or nothing. It just naturally goes away, and it's no problem.
But how do you store your wood normally? Like your raw material after?
It's usually on racks, or if I can't put it on racks, it's on sawhorses. It's always off the ground. That's in some way, shape, or form.
But do you sticker it, or do you just leave it stacked right on top of each other?
If it's on the racks, I don't have much room, so I have to it's on top of each other. That piece of wood that I made the false floor out of was not. They were actually separated, and then I cut them up, let them sit again. I don't know if I stickered them or not, but most of the time I can't, just because of space.
Okay. Yeah, but I can't not sticker my planks when they come in or when I get them. I've had too many bad stories, like, bad situations where I had an expensive piece of lumber and I stacked, a couple pieces together, and next thing I know, I pull it off and the next day it's warped to ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I have to do a whole bunch of work to it.
Well, I think we were at you, Josh, and then I interrupted. How do you alleviate your wood movement?
Yeah, how do you relieve your wood?
You guys went tension.
Tension.
So sometimes you get a lot of tension in the wood, and basically you guys hit on it for the most part. I don't really have too much to add. I use a lot of methods that Nick is using. I use some of the methods AJ, other than his magical wood. I don't have any of that here. But yeah, we all have issues with wood movement. I know I've had some major issues with wood sitting in the shop and it twisting on me pretty bad. But yeah, you guys hit it pretty good. So, I'm going to consider that answered.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely answered. We definitely talked about how you can make your wood expand and contract on its own and how to alleviate that. But we'll get into the second question, and it'll be kind of quick. We've touched on this multiple times. But his second question is, when finishing, do you sand between every coat? And any tips for getting rid of dust in between coats of finish? I'll take this one real quick. No, I do not sand in between each coat. What I do is, I learned this from Pete over at Ptreesworkshop. You take a brown paper bag. I usually use polyacrylic, so it's, you lay it on, let it dry in a couple hours, not even, maybe an hour. I hit it with a brown paper bag, and it takes down any high spots. Most of the time, I spray at least 2 to 3 coats before I even do the brown paper bag, and then I'm done, and it comes out like glass. If you got a lot of dust in it, unfortunately, you're going to have to sand it down, get a nice smooth finish, and then recoat. I had to do that a few times in the early beginning, and I've definitely learned my lesson on that. What about you, Nick?
So when I'm sanding something, usually I'm sanding cherry wood or walnut, but I'll do multiple grits, but in between each grit, I'll take some mineral spirits and I'll wipe down the surfaces, let it dry, and then I'll hit it again with the next grit higher, and then I'll keep doing that until I get to the final, to get to where I need to be. And then, obviously after I'm where I need to be, after that mineral spirits evaporates off the wood, then it's a nice clean surface, and it's good to start putting your finish on. I don't typically deal with too many poly finishes. I do a lot of spray finish from the cans. So no, I'll just layer coats on top of coats, but I'm doing small things. I'm not doing large items. I've done tabletops before, and you do the coat of Danish oil or whatnot, and then sand lightly, and then go back and do it again, over and over again. I did that for like a week straight on a table, and it came out nice, but I just don't have enough experience to speak on that too much. How about you, Josh?
So I've actually dealt with quite a bit of finishing when it comes to different finishes, varnishes, and just polyacrylics, you name it. Between the cornhole boards and like tables and small projects and large projects, I've kind of used a gambit. I have sanded in between each coat, but that was more toward the beginning of my journey. I use a lot of the methods that AJ uses because we've learned off each other. But the biggest way I get dust off my projects, that way I can finish them, is I use Nick's method of spirits, but I also use Duragold Pure Gold Superior tack cloths. I've found those to be amazing when it comes to removing a lot of the dust that builds up on any kind of surface, and it really pulls it off the piece. If it's something I've been sanding a lot, I'll go ahead and use the spirits on it right after that, and it cleans it up fairly well. But as far as the sanding goes, I've actually started using more and more finishes that don't require it to be sanded in between, because the finishes I'm using are a little higher priced, they're better quality, and because I'm spraying it with the Ragnar, what is it, Homeright sprayer, it leaves a better finish. I'm not worried about some of the bumps and the dust that collect because it's such a good sprayer for the money. But yeah, in the beginning, I was definitely there with people that, have to do that. But if you're doing a lot of pieces, I would definitely get some kind of sprayer, and that will help with a lot of the stuff you're seeing, imperfections in the finish. And start using higher quality finishes will definitely get you in a position where it's less work for you in the long run. Mm-hmm. But
cool.
I think that wraps up that question, and we'll jump right into event reminders for you guys. So just a reminder, at the beginning, the first Tuesday of the month, we're going to be doing a YouTube live at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Mm-hmm. We are going to be doing a giveaway. We're going to try for each one, but we'll see how that plays out. And to enter the giveaway, you have to be present during the YouTube live, subscribe to that channel, and whoever the giveaway's from, you have to be following them on Instagram. The last week of the month on the recording, we'll have a guest. We'll be doing a guest from each state. This month, you should be seeing Peter from Ptreesworkshop. He'll be joining us the last week of the month. And Nick with sponsors.
Yeah, so I'd like to take this time to thank Totalboat. They've got outstanding epoxy, and you should try it. I know we all love it. Their Halcyon's amazing, and they've got that deep pour along with their high performance. It's amazing. I can't say enough about it. Anyway, you won't be disappointed. Give them a visit at www.totalboat.com and tell them we sent you. Anyway, sticker beats are our next next up, stickers that last but don't come unstuck. Unless you want them to, of course, leaving no residue behind. Check out their customizable packing tape as well at www.stickerbeat.com. And for 20% off your order, use promo code SawdustNation, all small caps, and that's all one word.
Oh.
Anyway.
All small caps.
all lowercase. Anyway, so Jtechphotonics. Jtechphotonics makes I don't know how to explain it. It's just amazing. Jay over there has amazing customer service for the product he puts out. It's outstanding. I use the JTech 7.0 laser on my projects, and it's a very, very nice, leaves a very nice finish on my projects, and I can't say enough about them. So visit them at www.jtechphotonics.com. They've got lasers for pretty much any CNC platform. So that's all for sponsors.
Nice.
AJ?
Well, if you want to get in contact with us, you can reach us at Sawdust Nation Podcast on the big old IG. You can also send us your questions to our email at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. And then if you want to get in touch with myself, I'm AJ over at Crafted and NJ. We got Nick over at NPG Creations, and you got the lovely Josh over at North Country Woodworking. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, go leave us a 5-star review. The higher reviews and the higher star rating, then we get pushed up the ladder, apparently. And next thing you know, we're on top of the game, and everybody knows the Sawdust Nation name. I did just rhyme. With that, I got nothing else. Final words, gents?
Yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time.
I'm going to say bye-byes and love you all. Love everybody. Bye-byes, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-byes.
You guys out there keep making some sawdust, especially when we're not in the shop making our own. You guys have a wonderful week. Sawdust Nation out.
If they've got stickers that last but don't come unstuck, unless, of course, you want them to be unstuck, and then they will be unstuck. But they don't unstuck without the, sticker beat.
This is a Dr. Seuss book?
Sticker beat.